Coming in, flex. I just wanna win, LABB, who we running with, 2, 2, 3, 3, I'm on 10 again,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first CCT full game mode breakdown. This is the first of many explanation-like videos to come. Everything mentioned in this video is subject to change as we are still actively updating the structure and the foundation of CCT. With that being said, we would love to hear feedback and suggestions from the players. We've opened a new channel in our Discord server specifically for this. Check out the player feedback channel and let us know what you'd like to see us change, remove, or add to CCT. Players will be rewarded in-game for sharing feedback and making suggestions. We will compile a list of all players who helped during this process. We won't forget about you. Join our Discord now at discord.gg/Cobra. Without further ado, I now introduce MeeZoid for the first game mode breakdown.
Before we break down the game mode completely, it should be noted that we have moved away from the 1.7 version entirely. To start, Cobra will only support 1.8.9, but we have an extreme ambition and immediate future goal of supporting up to the latest versions of Minecraft and Bedrock Edition as soon as possible. Obviously, for a teams-based PvP game mode, we have to perfect the foundation before experimenting with higher versions. Getting into a general overview of the game mode, it is a map-based system. To start, these maps will last 3 weeks. We are open to going higher, but we do not want to go lower due to the playstyle and content within the game mode. Speaking regarding the map itself, each world has its own style and purpose. We have a large custom overworld war zone, the Nether has been transformed into a wasteland, and you can now explore Cobra's End City, all of which will play a big role in the content offered by CCT. As expressed, the main purpose of the game mode is inherently PvP competition, but not without intertwining a variety of other game modes. There will be maply PvP, PvE, and team competition, all statistics of which will be saved onto our custom website in addition to high-ranking players and teams gaining map points similar to reputation to build up a status on CCT. Our goal in CCT is to encourage healthy PvP by focusing a large part of our content within the war zones. We do not want to encourage a base raiding versus trapper playstyle, not only inherently with content, but also to make everything a more even playing field as to not encourage this meta. Before we get further into specifics, CCT will be an always changing game mode. From map to map, we want to switch up playstyles, make changes based on feedback, add, remove, and modify features. We are prepared and wanting to grow this game mode over time, not to seek a peak on grand release and diminish from there. So, as repeatedly expressed, CCT is our take on the intertwinement of a variety of game modes. To be specific, we are mixing hardcore factions, regular factions, skyblock, and prisons. The hardcore factions aspect is recognized in the core of the game mode, with a big focus on PvP playstyle, competition, events, and a PvP-based faction top leaderboard, but it is not recognized with death bans. The factions aspect is recognized in the custom PvP editions of the game mode, for example, custom enchants, armor sets, pets, masks, special items, and something we have created called artifacts, in addition to a faction value competition. All of these features have our own custom take on them, and they are intended to be properly balanced all around. For example, we plan to only have a small selection of custom enchants and lower the maximum enchants on a piece of armor. Skyblock inspires a large part of the PvE side of our game mode. CCT will have its own collection systems, machines, and pet ranches, in addition to economy playing a big importance all around. Dungeons and bosses from Skyblock will also take a part in CCT's gameplay. The core of the prisons game mode also plays a role in CCT's cavern. Here you can use a special upgradable pickaxe to continue progression with your team. CCT is a mix of all these fundamentals while adding our own twists and changes that we believe will overall benefit the sustainability of the game mode, which we'll get into next. Beginning with the start of the map, we have completely overhauled and reworked how a map will begin. Instead of a few hour-long timer, we have now introduced start of the map phases, in which there will be 7 phases over the course of 9 hours. The start of the map will serve as a critical part for your team to get set up and snowball throughout the map. There will be a variety of different grinds and jobs for your team to do in order to set yourselves up for success. Each phase has its own obvious purpose, and the specifics of each will be outlined in a very clear way. Of course, for a level playing field, the most critical and important phases take place early on so that all time zones can partake. To briefly touch on some of the important details, claiming will be disabled for the first hour of the map. Players will be given a backpack for the first 2 hours of the map for extra storage. PvP will be enabled in certain worlds at different times. Some worlds will remain inaccessible until a given time. There will be a variety of different boosters. Printer will be enabled during a certain phase to help incentivize the customization of player bases, and much more will take place during these phases. On day 2 of the map, the End City will open. The concept of the end and its purpose is completely different than what it is used to on hardcore factions. With the opening of this world comes our first brand new custom and major event. Since there is only one public end portal on the map within our overworld war zone, the winners of this event will be given their own end portal, private looting within the Dragon's Den, and a significant significant amount of F-top points. Once the End Cities opening event is concluded, CCT's event schedule will commence. The event schedule on CCT will feature a variety of new and tweaked PvP events that will take place at a consistent rate, giving players a refreshing experience with each. To list some of our PvP scheduled events, CCT will have Control the Zone, Capture the Flag, Secure the Payload, Hardpoint, Hell Cage, Oddball, King of the Hill, and much more will be released in the future. All of which will be cycling, have multiple builds in multiple locations, and will take place at different times. While this event schedule is active, CCT will also have 24/7 accessible events, both PvP and PvE related, some of which are the Dark Fortress, which is a new outpost-like event that is guarded by hacker bots. You can gain respect in order to capture this area and receive passive benefits. Dungeons, which are instant PvE events with puzzles and bosses that are completed for rewards. Envoys, Warzone bosses, hacker bosses. The Cavern, as mentioned earlier, will serve as a pivot point for players to progress through the game mode in a different style with an upgradable pickaxe. And then the Coliseum. This will serve as a safe zone for players to schedule and partake in solo, party, or full team duels, all of which can be spectated by players. And again, much more will be released in the future. Every PvP server needs an event that is looked forward to, our first of which will take place a week after the map opens on day 7. First, DTR will now be enabled. We had not mentioned this prior, but for the first week of the map, your team cannot go raidable. We know this is a drastic change for a PvP game mode, but as we explain this, you guys may come to agree. We asked ourselves, how can a game mode survive long term when after a few hours, every player is trying to make other players quit by making them raidable? How can a grindy game mode be grinded if you're at risk of losing everything after just a few hours? Or how can new players join that were not on for start of the map and not be at an extreme handicap? So the simple solution is to restrict going raidable for the first week. Similar to how TNT is disabled on factions for their grace period, DTR being disabled for the first week is CCT's take on a grace period. This way, countless amounts of teams can join over the period of the first week, all without the inherent risk of losing everything at any moment while they are trying to set up. Next, during this day as well, another custom event will take place, the Multiverse event. The winning team of this event will be immediately qualified for a day 14 event, which we will get into, and will also receive rewards of items and F-top points. On day 8, the next day, another custom event will take place, the Ferocity event. Day 14, the next weekend, will feature our first event that must be qualified for, our Bunkers Tournament. With the winners of day 7 and day 8 events automatically being qualified, all teams can sign up to join and be prioritized based on F-top ranking. The next day, day 15, will feature a team tournament open for all to join. There will be 2 styles that are going to be hosted: bring your own gear, as well as a pre-made kit to give everyone an equal playing ground. The final Thursday of the map, day 19, will serve as a final day to get points for yourself and your team before leaderboards lock. And then on day 20, a brand new take on the end of the map will take place. So keep in mind, what I just went over was a brief overview of the quote-unquote important events that will take place throughout the map. As explained earlier, the event schedule will always be active once enabled, and the ongoing PvP and PvE activities will always be accessible once they are enabled. Again, stay tuned for more detail and explanations for all the new concepts and events we just mentioned.
Okay, so that's all for our first game mode breakdown. Being our first, we hope to have succeeded in giving you a broad overview of what CCT has to offer. MeeZoid has given you a general look at what an entire map looks like and what the potential day-to-day activities consist of. Obviously, there's still so much ground to cover, specifics to be revealed, and elaboration on all the brand new content we have hand created. This isn't the only video that we will be sharing with you all. We will be hand selecting features and topics from this video to further explain and prepare you for the beta launch of CCT. You can expect the next video in the coming days. Additionally, as we get closer to our beta release date, we will be allowing all players to try out our hands-on tutorial in-game on Cobra to get an even better idea of how certain features and concepts work. For all teasers, news, updates, and more, be sure to join our Discord server and follow all of our social media platforms. The links to everything can be found at cobra.gg/socials.